Hi guys, it's Matthew here. Welcome back to another video on my channel today. Today in this episode, guys, we are going to be doing a Pixar tier list, as a matter of fact. This is the whole reason on why I'm doing this video was because of the recent release of Inside Out 2, and I don't want to say my opinion on it because otherwise it will spoil the video. But compared to last year when I did this tier list when Elemental came out, some of these movies have been shift around in my ranking because there are some newer ones that I wanted to fit in here. So some of the ones that were in best of the best have been moved down to the great tier, and some movies that were on the great tier have been moved up to best of the best. I'm just throwing that out there to you guys as a matter of fact. But with that in mind, the only thing left to do is make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends because that'd really help out my channel greatly. And also, guys, those of you guys that are new to the channel, I do more than just movies and physical media related content. I also do Lego related stuff, and I play video games. I do all sorts of stuff like that, guys. So if that kind of stuff is your speed to watch on YouTube, guys, please make sure you go watch a couple of my other videos. Give a couple of my other videos a chance, guys. And if you do end up liking this channel, guys, please make sure you click that red subscribe button. But most importantly, make sure you press that notification bell so you don't miss anything in the future. And those of you guys that are not new to the channel, if you haven't subscribed already, please make sure you go subscribe right after this video, guys. Without any further ado, guys, enjoy the video. Let's get started here. So these are not in chronological order, but in the past when I have done this, they have been in chronological order. I don't know why they're not in chronological order this time around, though. But the first one on the docket today is going to be Toy Story. This is the very first Toy Story, as a matter of fact. And it's probably no surprise, it's definitely going up there in the top 10. So yes, everybody loves the first Toy Story, and I do as well. And personally, I have loved so with the Pixar movies, the two main things that I have watched a lot growing up were Toy Story and the Cars movies. Those are the two animated franchises those are two of the animated franchises that I've watched a lot growing up. So Toy Story and the Cars movies, they both mean a lot to me. And I don't think I even have to list off why why this movie is one of the best Pixar movies, but I will say You've Got a Friend in Me is overplayed, though. That might be the only nitpick I have about the first Toy Story, but it doesn't really affect the movie for me, though. Next up on our list, we have Turning Red. Gee, if you guys know me, you guys probably don't know where this movie's gonna go. Actually, I take that back. If you guys have watched my top 5 worst Pixar movies, you know I don't like Turning Red. And I actually heard a lot of people did not care for Turning Red at all, and a big reason for that, one, it was because of the humor that was in the entire movie, and I agree. I don't like the humor in this movie. The whole story is just off, and the whole concept just just doesn't make me want to watch this movie. That's how bad it is. If you were to ask me. And yeah, I have a, I don't think I'm ever gonna watch Turning Red again because it was pretty much a bust. Next up on our list we have Toy Story 4. This, so if you guys have watched me for any determined amount of time, this is by far my favorite Pixar movie, and it is by far my favorite out of the Toy Story movies. And I know for some people that that's a little bit of a controversial opinion, because some people are not real crazy about it, and some people thought it was just fine. And I think the main reason on why I like this movie so much is because I know why they did it. Because in Toy Story 3, yes, it did feel like that should have been the ending of the Toy Story movies. But then after they wrapped up Andy's story, and if you know the whole case with Woody after Andy's whole story got wrapped up, you guys would probably know why they made this movie. They made it because after Andy's story finished up, Woody still had some story to finish up. And so that's why they did the fourth movie, because Woody still had some story to finish up, so they did another movie to cap off his story. And to be honest, I thought Toy Story 4 was the perfect ending, and now and I just don't know why they're doing another Toy Story movie. I think the fifth movie seems highly unnecessary, and it's like, where do you go from there? But I'm actually going into that movie extremely skeptical because I feel like Pixar is just making it just to make money because all of the Toy Story movies have done so well. Speaking of Toy Story, next up on our list we have Toy Story 2. So now, like I said, I grew up with all the Toy Story movies. Like, I wasn't born when the first two movies came out, but I did see Toy Story 3, Toy Story 4, and Lightyear in the theater though, as a matter of fact. So yeah, with all of those movies, so I saw all those in theaters. So and then yeah, so I did watch the first two movies growing up, but as I've gotten older, I'm not I feel like Toy Story 2 is probably the weak link of all of the Toy Story movies, as a matter of fact. I'm not saying I hate it or it's overrated, but I definitely think it's a little bit on like the weaker side of the Toy Story franchise, and it just kind of falls in the middle. I don't think it's great, and I don't think it's a bad movie per se. So I think I'm gonna go the good tier with Toy Story 2. Speaking of sequels, next up on our list we have Inside Out 2. And to be honest, guys, both spoiler alert for this video, both the first and the second Inside Out are neck and neck. I like them both equally, and I'm gonna go top 10 with Inside Out 2. And it's because this is a great sequel. Like I like what I really liked what they did is that they went, well, depending on how you guys take it, it might feel like a rehash of the first one, but with Riley being a teenager. But the reason why, the reason why, um, I like this movie so much is because it felt like the first one, but they went for a completely different direction with it, and they made it just as good as the first one, in my opinion. I don't really know. It's kind of hard to explain, but I loved how they made Riley a teenager, where she's at nowadays, and then all the brand new emotions she has. I just really like Inside Out too. And when we get to the first one, I already said it, it's going up there as well. Next up, we got Coco. So this is, it's gonna break my heart because I have put it on the top 10 tier before, but I have to go great. It's a borderlining on the top 10 for me. It is borderlining on the top 10 for me because Coco is an absolute stunning animated movie, and it is a great movie. The soundtrack in this movie is phenomenal. The character development in this movie is phenomenal. Like, a lot of people that are Mexican really like this movie because it talks about their culture, and not a lot of movies talk about a certain or just one culture like Coco does, as a matter of fact. And even though that I'm not Mexican, I I still I still understand why they love this movie so much. And yes, this is an absolute stunning animated movie, and this is one I don't own, but I probably should. But man, I can always watch it on Disney Plus as well if I don't end up getting it, as a matter of fact. But yeah, Coco is an amazing movie, as a matter of fact. Next up, we have Monsters Inc. So now with this one, I don't know if I should put it in best to the best, because if I put it up there, Monsters University is gonna go up there too, because I think Monsters University is just as good as its predecessor. So that's the main issue here. It's really hard, but I have to be selective. All right, I'm going for it. It's going on the top 10 tier. So now with Monsters Inc., I have this was actually a movie that scared me as a kid. The opening scene and the suspenseful music actually scared me as a kid in this movie. And personally, yeah, it this movie kind of scared me as a kid, but I've still always loved Monsters Inc. because of how good it was, and I like the whole concept that it has, and a lot of people actually have this as top tier Pixar, as a matter of fact. All right, next up on our list, we got Cars 2. So I have put this in the top 10 before, but I know I've never put it above Coco, so I'm going to put it behind Coco on the great tier. So with Cars 2, I have I love Cars 2. Like I was 1 year old when the first Cars came out, so I didn't get to see the first Cars in theaters either, but I did see the second and the third one in theaters, and they're really good movies, I thought. And I think Cars 2 is actually overhated, and a lot of people say it's the worst Pixar movie, but personally, I don't think it is. I actually think it's a pretty good movie because I like how it's different and I like how Mater carries the storyline. I know this is a controversial opinion, but I really like Cars 2. Next up on our list, we have Monsters University. And yep, this is going right next to Monsters Inc., as a matter of fact. And I really liked Monsters University. I feel like some people I feel like it's a little bit of an underrated movie because I've heard some people put it a little bit lower on their Pixar ranking. Like they put it at like number 20 and then they put like the Monsters Inc. in like their top 10. And yeah, I just don't get why people go lower with Monsters University. I actually think it's pretty fun, as a matter of fact. Brave is the next movie. So now this is another movie that I actually think is overhated. This is another one of the Pixar movies I think is overhated, but I think I think the three Pixar I don't want to say them quite yet actually, but I'll say it once we get to the third one as a matter of fact. But for Brave, I'm going to go great tier with Brave, and with Brave, I think the reason on why I like Brave so much is because I like watching all of the Disney princess movies, and that's kind of one of my favorite things about Disney is all the different stories that the princesses have and whatnot, and to be honest, and in case you guys have not noticed yet, Merida is the only Disney princess that has ever been written by Pixar. Every other princess has been written by Disney has been written by the actual Disney studios, as a matter of fact. So I just wanted to throw that out there as well. So that's another reason on why I like Brave, is because it's different from the other Pixar movies, because this is the only princess movie that Pixar has ever done. Next up on our list is The Good Dinosaur. So yes, now that we're at The Good Dinosaur, I think Cars 2, Brave, and The Good Dinosaur, I think all three of those Pixar movies are overhated. And this is not quite great tier for me, but I am going to put it on the good tier because I kind of like the whole story and the whole concept that The Good Dinosaur has. And I feel like this movie doesn't really get enough love, and I don't know why this movie gets overhated. Like, I really do like Spot. I think he's a fun character in this movie, and I like our main lead Arlo, and yeah, I think Arlo is a pretty good Pixar character as well. Next up, we have The Incredibles 2. And this might be a little controversial, but I actually prefer the second Incredibles over the first one. And because I like how, yeah, well, I'll get, so for now I'm just going to say I prefer The Incredibles 2, but I'll go more in depth on it, excuse me, when we get to the first Incredibles, as a matter of fact. Next up on our list, we have Up, and this is hands down a top 5 Pixar movie, and it's going in best to the best, right there with Toy Story 4. I really love Up. It is a beautiful movie. The animation in this movie is stunning. My mom even really likes this movie as well, and we actually have the Up House on a little table in the dining room because she likes it and I like it too. As a matter of fact, the Lego Up House set, I really do I really do agree with my mom. It is actually a very cute Lego set, and it's definitely a set that I would recommend you go pick up as well. And the characters in this movie, the sound, the music score in this movie, yeah, just everything about this movie is just so amazingly stunning, in my opinion. Next up on our list, we have Luca. And this is, I like it more than Turning Red. But yeah, this is another bad Pixar movie in my opinion. It's just a weird movie. I mean, I appreciate how different it is compared to some other Pixar movies on this list, but it's not the greatest Pixar movie ever made. It's one of the worst Pixar movies ever made. And yeah, I just, the character development in this movie is pretty weak. The story is pretty weak. Like, I could have put this movie on the good tier, but there was just a lot of problems that this movie had, and I feel like this movie could have been better if they changed up the characters a little bit and then changed up the storyline a little bit as well. And then it probably would have been a good movie in my opinion, but yeah, just everything about this movie is weak. I mean, I like the whole concept, but there was just a lot of things that this movie needed to improve on. Next up on our list is Toy Story 3. So now, Toy Story 3 is actually my least favorite out of the Toy Story movies. And when I did give my top 5 worst Pixar movies, when I did that video, I said there was only 4 Pixar movies that I truly don't particularly care for. And I still think Toy Story 3 is a good movie, but it's not the worst Pixar movie ever made. But if you take away the 4 movies, I think if you take away the 4 Pixar movies that I think are bad, then yes, this would be the bottom tier. But luckily, this is not the worst Pixar movie, in my opinion. So I'm still gonna put it. It's not going very high. And this is mainly because I actually think the third Toy Story movie is pretty weird, if you were to ask me. Like I like the villains. I will one absolutely 100% agree. I actually think Lotso is a pretty good Pixar villain, but the whole thing when they get trapped in the daycare, but then they think all these kids are going to treat them very nice, but then they get moved to the other side of the daycare, and then they just get mistreated. That's another thing I didn't really particularly care for about this movie. I mean, it's improved on my list a couple of notches. So that's a plus. But it's so that's a plus, but it's still not a very highly rated Pixar movie. But I don't think it's a bad movie, but I still think it's pretty good though. Next up on our list we have The Incredibles. So now let me talk about the first Incredibles for a second, and then I'll talk about why I like the second one better. So with The Incredibles 2, not The Incredibles, the first Incredibles, I actually when I watched this when I was like a toddler, I didn't particularly care for it. But then when I watched but then I watched it when I was like 10 or almost a teenager. I ended up liking this movie and wanting to go see The Incredibles 2 as well. Probably a lot later than it was probably a lot later than never mind. But anyway, yes, I didn't particularly like the first one when I first watched it. But then I watched it around but then I watched it like a year before the second one came out, and I ended up liking it as a matter of fact. It's going to go pretty high, but I can't go above the second one because the reason why the second one puts it over the reason why I think the second one is better than the first one is because it's a movie that I've never hated, and the first one there I have disliked a little bit, but yes, a lot of people put the second and the first one on par together, and personally I do too. So I've never put it in best of the best before, but so so I can't put it above Cars 2 because these three movies I've had in the best of the best tier before, but this one I've only had on the great tier. So yes, it's going to be pretty high up on the list, but it's not going to get any lower than it is right now though. Now we have Wally. So this was one of the four Pixar movies that I particularly did not care for. I don't think it's a bad movie, it's a hot take, but for me, I just think it's so forgettable if you were to ask me. Like when I tried to watch this movie a lot growing up, and I couldn't get through it, and then when I watched it a little bit later in life, I actually got through more of it than I've ever did before. And and yeah, it's and since I've watched more of it now, it's a forgettable movie, and it's one that I will probably never rewatch again, but I don't yeah, it's just forgettable in my opinion. I don't think it's a good, I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it's entertaining. It's just forgettable in my opinion, and I don't really have much to say about it if you were to ask me. Next up on our list, we have Ratatouille. I know a lot of people say that this is their favorite Pixar movie, but personally, this was another one I watched growing up, but as I've gotten older, I kind of outgrew it a little bit, but I don't even remember where I put it the last time I did a tier list like this, but yeah, I know I didn't put it in the in my top 5 worst Pixar movies, and so if you guys did see that video, you guys would probably say that I think Ratatouille is better than Toy Story 3. But now that I'm actually thinking about it and doing this video, it's probably gonna go behind Toy Story 3 on the good tier. I know a lot of people like Ratatouille, but for me personally, I kind of outgrew this movie and I started to like it a little bit less compared to when I watched it as a kid. And yeah, I don't know why this movie has decreased on me a little bit, as a matter of fact. But yeah, I just think it's a good movie overall. Next up on our list, we have Finding Dory, as a matter of fact. And this is. I have put this one in best of the best before, but I have put it above. I don't know if I like it more than Coco. Actually, yeah. Finding Dory is a pretty good movie if you were to ask me. And I actually thought it was a phenomenal sequel to Finding Nemo, and I would and I am just waiting for them to do another movie because I feel like there's another story they can tell, and there is and I feel like they could do a little bit more with Finding Dory. As a matter of fact, I prefer it over Finding Nemo, as a matter of fact. And I think the new characters in this movie are more likable than the characters in Finding Nemo, if you were to ask me, as a matter of fact. But we'll get to Finding Nemo a little bit later in the video, as a matter of fact. Next up on our list, we have Elemental. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go with the. I think I'm gonna go great tier with Elemental. So now with Elemental, my mom actually took me to see this movie when it came out last year, and I actually thought it was pretty good. I actually went into this movie with low expectations because the year before Elemental came out, we got Lightyear, and that was a pretty good movie. But when the trailers dropped for this movie, I was going into this movie extremely skeptical because the last 3 times before this movie that Pixar did an original movie and not a spin-off or a sequel, I didn't think it was very good. And before we got Lightyear and Elemental, they were Luca, Turning Red, and Soul. And I did not care for either one of those movies. And with this movie, I didn't mind it. at all. And so I gave it a lot of points because because I thought it really improved on the previous three original movies that Pixar did, as a matter of fact. And I like the whole idea of you can't mix elements or put elements together, but then they find out that they can, as a matter of fact. So yeah, it's a good story. It had the two main characters in this movie, I think, have a good relationship. I think it's a fun duo, but I wouldn't say it's probably like one of the top duos of Pixar, like Mike and Sully and Woody and Buzz, obviously. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good, if you were to ask me. Next up on our list, we have Cars 3. So now, this is my favorite one out of the Cars movie, and if you guys did see my top 10 Pixar movies, you guys all know that Cars 3 is a top 10 Pixar movie. I don't know why people put all three of the Cars movies so low on their list. Because personally, I like I really like the Cars movies, and I've actually have been waiting for them to do a fourth Cars movie. And I said earlier, two of the biggest animated franchises that I watched growing up a lot when I was a toddler were were the Cars movies and the Toy Story movies. And the Cars movies and a good chunk of the Cars movies and a good chunk of the Toy Story movies are up there for me because because in my opinion, I actually think they're pretty good, as a matter of fact. And yeah, I like how this kind of wraps up the story with Lightning McQueen, but at the end of the movie, I don't think it really wraps up his story, but kind of wraps up his racing career though, because he ends up becoming Cruz Ramirez's crew chief, as a matter of fact. So so yeah, I am praying that they'll do a Cars 4 with Cruz. And yes, I hope one day we'll get a Cars 4. I am hoping that we will get a Cars 4. Please give me another Cars movie. I am begging you. Next up, we have a Soul. This is yet again, guys. If you did see my top 10, not my top 10, my top 5 worst Pixar movies, and I did say it like 2 minutes ago that I think Luca, Turning Red, and Soul are bad movies. But yeah, out of the three of those, Soul is by far the worst. And that's because I didn't finish Soul. Because yeah, I just did not care for the characters at all in this movie. The story was lacking. And yeah, it's just the Pixar movie that I am least likely want to go and revisit. And yeah, I only watched like the first 30 minutes of this movie and I turned it off. And I swear, if they ever do a sequel to this movie, I am gonna be so annoyed. Same thing with Turning Red and Luca. If they do a sequel to either of those three movies, they it's gonna annoy me because I've only have watched each one of those movies one time, and that is why they have not moved up at all. Is because I only saw them one time, and I've never had any desire or or any passion to go back and rewatch one of them, as a matter of fact. But maybe one day I'll go back and rewatch them to see if my opinion has changed on them, so I'm not being harsh on them all the time, but who knows? We'll see. Next up on our list, we have Finding Nemo. Like I said, I prefer Finding Dory better, and I think I said it. I actually, when I first watched Finding Nemo, when I watched Finding Nemo when I was younger, I did not particularly care for this movie at all. But then I watched it when I was a little bit older, and I thought it was pretty good, as a matter of fact. But with this one, I think just because I think I'm going to go above Elemental. I don't know. I can't put it above The Incredibles, but I don't know if I should put it above Brave. I know that would make this probably less controversial if I put it above Brave, because a lot of people don't particularly care for Brave, but like I said, it's my video, this is my list, and this is my opinion, but it's hard to pick. But I think I'm going to leave it how it is for now, just because I get a little bit more enjoyment out of Brave. Next up on our list is A Bug's Life. And this is the second movie ever to be released by Pixar. This is just like Finding Nemo and The Incredibles. The first time I watched it when I was younger, I didn't particularly care for it, but then I watched it a little bit later in life, and I ended up liking it, as a matter of fact. So it's not quite best of the best, but it's going up there a little bit. I can't put it above Elemental, just because I feel like Elemental had like more redeeming quality and more entertainment than A Bug's Life. But yeah, A Bug's Life, I think it's fine, and I think it's a good movie, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. But it's almost up there, though. Next up on our list, we have Inside Out. And this is no surprise that this is going in best of the best. Not best of the best, top 10. I keep getting it wrong. Yeah, I think the second one is a little bit better, because I think the second one improved on the story that the first one had a little bit. I didn't think the first one I didn't think the story of Inside Out needed to be improved on at all. But I think the second one changed it up a little bit, and made it the same redeeming quality as the first one, by having Riley become a teenager, and then she has all of these brand new emotions with anxiety and embarrassment, and then the purple guy, I forget what emotion he is, but I forget what his emotion is called. But yeah, I think as she becomes a teenager and she has all these new emotions in her mind now, yeah, it's just a phenomenal movie in my opinion. And I will probably, as soon as the second one comes out on Disney Plus, I will probably watch both of these movies back to back, as a matter of fact. Next up, we have Onward. So now, with Onward here, I gotta put it on the great tier. I'm gonna put it above The Incredibles because this one has been on the best to the best tier before. And the reason why I love Onward is because um this was one of the very last movies I watched before COVID and the pandemic hit, as a matter of fact. And I really like Onward for what it was. Like, it felt like Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter, and a little bit of Marvel in there, just because you see some like Marvel Easter eggs in the background of the movie, but for the most part, it just felt like Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter put together in a blender, and it kind of creates the same action premise, in my opinion, and the same adventure feel that all three of those franchises have, and their redeeming quality, as a matter of fact. So, yeah, I love the both of these movies, if you were to ask me. So now the last two movies that we have is the first Cars and Lightyear. So, yet again, if you watched my top 5 Pixar video, you guys all know that I love these movies, and you probably know what movies they're going to go above in top 10, as a matter of fact. Do I even have 10 movies on here? Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so yeah, I got 10 movies on there. So I'm going to start with the first Cars, and then we'll go into Lightyear. So, I love the first Cars. I actually watched it as a toddler all the time growing up before Cars 2 even came out. And yeah, I love the duo between Lightning McQueen and Mater. And yeah, I just have loved the Cars movies ever since I watched the first one. Same thing with Toy Story. I love those movies ever since I watched the first one. And yeah, all the Toy Story movies and all of the Cars movies are like neck and neck for me. So now Lightyear, yes, I know it's controversial that I say it's the second best Pixar movie, and that is because I really like this movie. I love how we got like a more realistic style of Lightyear, and the other main character that he has, Socks. And then all the other characters in this movie, I actually think are pretty funny and pretty good, if you were to ask me. And I love the story that Lightyear has. And we all know that this is supposed to be the movie that Andy fell in love with, and the reason why he wanted to get a Buzz Lightyear toy for his birthday. But a lot of people don't think it is because of how different it is compared to the toy Buzz Lightyear in the actual Toy Story movies. But like I said, I've loved the Toy Story movies growing up, and I'm a huge fan of sci-fi movies, and that's what Lightyear was. It was a good sci-fi adventure, I thought, and when I saw it in theaters, it became top tier for me, and one of my top 3 favorite movies of 2022, as a matter of fact. And I would say that Lightyear is one of the 4 overhated Pixar movies, if you were to ask me. Phew, guys. So yeah, that was my ranking of all 28 Pixar movies, as a matter of fact. We had a lot. We had a lot of movies to go through, as a matter of fact. And look at this tier list. There's very few Pixar movies that I dislike. Because I have my top 10 up here, and a good chunk of most of the other ones are on the great tier, and then we have the good tier with 4 movies on it, and then we just have one that's kind of forgettable, and then we have 3 on the bad tier. So I actually don't think Pixar has I think Pixar is coming back and is making a comeback with all of the movies they have been put out recently, and I hope they continue to stay where they are, as a matter of fact. But so yeah, guys, there that is my tier list and my full in-depth ranking of all 28 Pixar movies, as a matter of fact. Let me know down in the comment section how you would rank these movies in the comment section down below, or if you don't want to take the time to do that, just give me your top 5 or your top 10 down below in the comments as well, guys. But let's see, yeah, guys. With that said, though, guys, be sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends, because that'd really help out my channel greatly. And also, guys, those of you guys that are new to the channel, I do more than just movies and physical media related content. I also do Lego related stuff. I play video games. I do all sorts of stuff like that here on my channel, as a matter of fact. So if that kind of stuff is your speed to watch on YouTube, guys, please make sure you go watch a couple of my other videos. Go come my other videos with chance, guys. And if you do end up liking this channel, guys, please make sure you hit that red subscribe button, but most importantly, make sure you press that notification bell so you don't miss anything in the future. And those of you guys that are not new to the channel, if you haven't subscribed already, please make sure you go subscribe right after this video, guys. But without further ado, guys, I'm going to go get bringing back to more videos, because more videos are on the way sooner rather than later, as a matter of fact, guys. But with that said, though, guys, take care, drink water, and stay safe, and I will see you all in the very next video. Bye.